The sky above Titan Base was burning. Red fire spread through the black clouds as enemy ships tore the air apart. The ground shook like it was alive. Metal screamed. The air smelled like smoke, fuel, and blood. Lieutenant Eli Grant pushed against the beam, pinning his leg. The hangar had fallen after a plasma strike. He could hear the base alarms fading under the sound of gunfire. Every shout was a call for help. Every sound meant someone else dying. He gritted his teeth and pulled harder. Pain ran through his leg, but the beam shifted. He crawled out, covered in ash. Around him, broken ships and twisted armor lay in heaps. His radio hissed with static. A voice came through, low and broken. It was alien speech, rough and sharp, followed by laughter. Then a human voice screamed. The channel went silent. Eli checked his weapon. Half the barrel was melted. He tossed it away and searched the wrecks for anything working. He found a damaged drone, one of the enemy scouts, its core still glowing faint blue. He dragged it to cover and tore open its shell with his knife. He worked fast, fingers bleeding as he stripped wires. He knew their tech from months of reverse engineering it. He rerouted the energy feed and forced it to power his beacon. The signal blinked once, then twice. He sent the distress code. The air outside cracked as plasma bolts hit the ground. The noise made the walls tremble. Eli ducked under the debris and looked out. The alien walkers moved through the ruins, tall machines with clawed legs and glowing centers. Between them walked creatures in heavy armor, their skin gray and glassy under the smoke. He saw movement near the edge of the hangar. A soldier crawled out, burned and coughing. Eli ran to him. The man's armor was broken open. He was young, maybe 20. He grabbed Eli's wrist. "They're coming," he said, his voice weak. Eli looked around. There was nowhere to run. He dragged the man behind a broken ship hull and took his rifle. The charge meter was low, but it still worked. He aimed at the first alien he saw. The shot cut through its armor. The creature fell, its blood glowing faint green. The others turned. Blue plasma fire lit the hangar again. Eli and the wounded man fired back, moving from cover to cover. Each shot echoed through the ruins. The aliens advanced without fear. Eli hit one, then another, but there were too many. A plasma blast hit close. The shock threw him to the floor. He heard his own heartbeat louder than the battle. When the dust cleared, the young soldier was gone. Only his helmet remained. Eli crawled behind a wrecked truck, his ears ringing. His beacon light still blinked through the smoke. He looked at it and thought about shutting it off. There was no help coming. Command had ordered retreat hours ago. The base was listed as lost. He thought of the people who never made it out. Engineers, medics, rookies, people who trusted him. He slammed his fist against the floor. "No retreat," he said quietly. The ground shook again. From the far side of the hangar, a figure walked through the smoke. The armor was old, scratched, covered in dust. The man's faceplate glowed faint yellow. He carried a rifle longer than his arm and moved like he had fought 100 wars. Eli froze. That armor was from the first invasion, 20 years ago. Every soldier from that unit was supposed to be dead. The figure stopped a few feet away and lifted his helmet. A scarred face stared back at Eli, calm and cold. "Get up, Lieutenant," the man said. "The war's not over." Eli stared at the man standing in front of him. The voice, the stance, everything matched the old recordings. Colonel Dax Monroe, the hero who disappeared in the First War. Eli's mind refused to believe it. The man was supposed to be long dead. Dax looked at the ruined hangar and then at Eli. "We have to move," he said. His tone was calm but sharp. "The aliens will sweep this place again in minutes. Follow me." Eli followed, limping slightly, his leg still weak from the beam. They passed through broken corridors lit by red warning lights. Every wall was cracked. The metal floors were slick with oil and blood. They moved in silence until they reached a sealed blast door half buried in debris. Dax placed his hand on the lock panel. It recognized him instantly. The door opened, revealing a narrow elevator shaft. A faint hum came from below. "Where are we going?" Eli asked. "Down," Dax replied, "to the ones still fighting." The elevator carried them deep underground. The walls shook from distant impacts. Eli looked at Dax's armor. It was scarred and patched with alien metal. The edges glowed faint blue. "You shouldn't be alive," Eli said quietly. "Neither should you," Dax replied. "Yet here we are." The doors opened to a hidden base. Inside, people worked under dim lights. Men and women in torn uniforms built weapons from scrap. The air smelled like smoke and sweat. A large screen showed a map of the planet. Half of it was under alien control. A woman in armor walked up. "Colonel, the power cells are almost dry. We can't hold another day." "You'll hold," Dax said. "We're not running, not this time." He turned to Eli. "We found something under Titan Base, something that can hurt them, but it's not ready. I need your hands on it." Eli followed him through a corridor into a chamber filled with wires and glowing cores. At the center was a large reactor, alien in design. Its energy pulsed like a heartbeat. Eli stepped closer, feeling the heat on his face. "You stole this from them?" Eli asked. "We took it from one of their fallen ships," Dax said. "It's unstable. But if we can control it, it can power a weapon strong enough to burn their fleet out of orbit." Eli ran his hands over the control board. It was a mix of human and alien design, rough but brilliant. He could see the potential, but it was dangerous. One wrong command could destroy them all. Dax looked at him. "Can you make it work?" Eli nodded slowly. "Maybe, but I'll need time and the right tools." Dax turned to his soldiers. "You heard him. Hold the tunnels. Buy us time." Gunfire echoed in the distance. The sound grew louder. The tunnels above shook. Dust rained from the ceiling. "They found us!" someone shouted. Dax drew his rifle and moved toward the noise. "Keep working," he said without turning. "Grant, if this goes bad, you finish that reactor. Don't let them take it." Eli started rerouting the power lines. The lights flickered. He could feel the charge rising. The alien core glowed brighter. The noise outside turned to chaos. He heard screams and explosions. The door burst open. Two soldiers stumbled in, firing at the creatures flooding the hall. Eli saw one of them fall, hit by a plasma bolt. Dax held the line, firing without fear. The reactor began to pulse faster. The readings jumped to red. Eli shouted, "It's going to blow!" Dax looked back, then let it. He slammed the door controls, sealing himself inside with the core. Eli pounded on the glass. "Colonel!" Dax gave one last look through the window. "Make sure this wasn't for nothing," he said. The chamber filled with white light. The blast threw Eli against the wall. When he opened his eyes, the door was gone, and the room was silent. Only dust and smoke remained. The blast from the reactor tore through the tunnels like a storm. Fire rolled down the hallways. Metal melted. The shockwave threw Eli Grant into the dirt. When the noise stopped, there was nothing left but heat, smoke, and silence. He woke hours later under broken steel plates. His ears rang. His body ached. The underground base was gone. The reactor chamber was just a hole of glass and ash. He looked for survivors but found none. The air was thick and hot. The tunnels smelled like burned oil and blood. Eli limped through the ruins, his face black with soot. He carried a damaged rifle and a datapad that somehow survived the explosion. On the pad was the last thing Dax Monroe had left behind. Encrypted files marked Project Helios. He didn't know what it was, but he knew it mattered. By nightfall, he reached an old service lift. It took him back to the surface. The world above was worse than before. The sky burned orange. Alien ships patrolled low, sweeping the ground with searchlights. Titan Base was gone, replaced by black craters and twisted metal. But among the wrecks, Eli found movement. A group of humans huddled inside a broken carrier. Soldiers, engineers, medics, tired, hungry, scared. They raised their weapons when they saw him, but when he spoke, they lowered them. "I was with Colonel Monroe," Eli said. "He's gone, but his fight isn't." They listened as he told them what happened below. No one spoke when he finished. The silence was heavy. Then an older sergeant stepped forward. "What do we do now, Lieutenant?" Eli looked at the burning horizon. He felt empty, but he knew running would mean the end of everyone left. "We fight," he said. "Not for command, not for medals. For every one of us they killed." Over the next days, they built something new in the ruins. They scavenged alien tech and human parts, welding them together into weapons and traps. They used drones as scouts and ambushed patrols in the dark. They called themselves the Iron Rebellion. Small, hidden, but deadly. Eli led them with precision. Every mission was fast and sharp. They struck at supply convoys and disappeared before the enemy could react. Word spread through the wasteland. Humans were still fighting. Not as soldiers, but as hunters. Each night, Eli studied Dax's files. He decrypted one code at a time. The data spoke of a weapon buried deep in orbit. Something massive. Project Helios. The notes said it could end the war if completed, but it was never finished. Dax had been trying to reach it before he vanished. Eli didn't know how to feel. Dax's death burned inside him, but his words stayed in his head. Make sure this wasn't for nothing. He knew what he had to do. Weeks passed. The rebellion grew. More survivors joined. They built crude armor and painted the symbol of the Iron Rebellion on their chests. A black circle with a red line through it. The aliens hunted them harder. Each fight cost more lives. Eli buried every one of them himself. One night, while working inside an abandoned comm station, Eli picked up a signal. It was weak, buried under static. A voice broke through the noise. "This is Dax Monroe," it said. "If anyone can hear this, Project Helios is real. I'm already inside." Eli froze. His hands shook. He replayed it again and again. It wasn't possible. He had seen Dax die. He had seen the explosion. But the voice was real. He turned to his crew. "Get ready," he said. "We're going to orbit." The others stared in disbelief. One of them whispered, "How?" Eli looked at the sky filled with alien ships. "We'll steal one." Outside, thunder rolled across the wasteland. The sound was not from the storm. It was from engines powering up, alien patrols closing in. The war was far from over, and now Eli knew it wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about finishing what Dax started. The stolen alien cruiser shook under fire as it broke through the upper atmosphere. The Iron Rebellion had done the impossible. They hijacked an enemy ship and took it straight into orbit. Alarms blared through the decks. Sparks rained from the ceiling. The crew worked fast, shouting over the noise. Eli Grant stood at the command console. His hands were black with grease, his eyes sharp and tired. "Hold the course," he said. The ship tilted hard as plasma bolts passed close. The view outside showed the alien city ship above Earth, massive and burning with blue light. The ship they stole was called Iron Wing now. It moved like a dying animal, wounded but dangerous. Behind it, smaller alien fighters chased, firing in waves. "Shields failing," shouted a tech. "We can't take another hit." Eli's jaw tightened. "Divert power from the engines to the front. Keep us alive until we breach their perimeter." He turned to the pilot. "Find us a hole and push through." The pilot nodded and threw the ship into a dive. The Iron Wing slipped under the enemy formation. Explosions filled the dark as they rose again toward the city ship's lower docking bay. The hull burned, but they made it. They crashed through the bay doors and landed hard. Metal screamed as the ship slid across the hangar floor. Smoke filled the air. Alarms went off. The crew grabbed their weapons and rushed out. Alien soldiers poured into the hangar. Tall, armored, and fast. The humans met them head-on. The first shots echoed through the vast chamber. Blue plasma and red tracer fire crossed in every direction. The smell of burned flesh filled the air. Eli led from the front. He fired his rifle until it overheated, then grabbed one from a fallen soldier. The fighting was brutal, close, and fast. He felt nothing but focus. Every move counted. Every life lost burned inside him. But he kept going. After long minutes of chaos, the last alien fell. The hangar was silent except for the hiss of leaking pipes. Half the humans were gone. Eli looked at the wrecked iron wing and then at the doors ahead. "We're inside," he said. "We move to the core. Find Monroe. Find Helios." They moved through long corridors of black metal and glowing blue veins. The walls pulsed like living skin. Strange sounds echoed around them, deep and mechanical. Some soldiers whispered prayers. Others walked in silence. At the heart of the ship, they found a chamber filled with energy lines and control towers. In the center stood a man. His back was to them. His armor looked human, but it shimmered with alien light. Eli stepped forward. "Dax!" The man turned. Half his face was scarred. The other half was metal, fused with alien parts. His eyes glowed faint blue. He looked older, harder, and almost not human anymore. "You made it," Dax said quietly. His voice was calm, but his tone carried weight. "I told you the war wasn't over." Eli stared in shock. "What happened to you?" "They tried to break me," Dax said. "I broke them instead. Now I control their systems. I can use Helios. I can end this." Eli looked around the chamber. He saw the reactor core of the city ship, glowing like a star. The scale of it terrified him. "If you fire that thing, you'll kill millions," he said. "Their homeworld will burn." "Good," Dax said. His voice was steady, almost cold. "They started this war. We finish it." Eli stepped closer. "You're not the man I knew. This isn't what you taught us." Dax's metal hand tightened around his weapon. "Maybe I'm finally who I was meant to be." The ground shook. Alarms sounded. Alien reinforcements were on their way. Dax looked at Eli. "You can stop me if you think I'm wrong, but you'll have to pull that trigger yourself." He turned toward the control panel and began the activation sequence. Energy built fast. The whole room vibrated. Eli raised his rifle, his finger tight on the trigger. Outside, the city ship's armor began to glow. The countdown started. Dax said without turning, "Make your choice, Lieutenant." The deck shook under Eli's feet. The city ship's alarms screamed across every corridor. Red lights flashed in waves. The Helios reactor inside the core glowed brighter than the sun. Dax Monroe stood at the control station, his metal hand gripping the console. His human side looked almost gone. Eli raised his rifle. His chest felt heavy. The heat from the reactor burned the air. "Turn it off," he said. "You'll destroy everything." Dax didn't move. "This is the only way to end it. They won't stop unless we erase them." "You'll erase us too," Eli said. "You think Earth survives that blast?" Dax turned. His half-metal face looked empty of fear. "Better a dead planet than a broken one." Eli fired a shot near the control. Sparks flew. Dax moved fast, slamming Eli into the wall. The sound of metal and bone echoed through the chamber. They fought hard, trading blows between bursts of light. Dax hit like a machine, but Eli kept pushing back. The floor shook under them. The reactor roared. Eli caught Dax's arm and drove a blade into the joint where flesh met metal. Dax shouted and hit him again, sending him sprawling. Eli rolled, bleeding, and aimed his weapon at the power conduit. He fired. The conduit exploded, knocking both men down. The countdown froze. The lights flickered. Smoke filled the air. Dax lay on the floor, breathing hard. "You can't stop it," he said. "The code is locked." Eli crawled to the console. His vision blurred, but his hands moved fast. He saw the sequence Dax had started. He couldn't shut it off, but he could change the target. His fingers flew across the keys. "If I can't stop it," he said, "I'll choose where it hits." Dax pulled himself up. "You don't know what you're doing." Eli didn't answer. He rerouted the blast toward the alien fleet surrounding Earth. The reactor screamed louder. Dax grabbed his shoulder, trying to pull him back. Eli slammed his elbow into Dax's chest and hit the final key. The floor burst open. Energy tore through the room like lightning. The noise was deafening. Dax staggered back, light pouring from the metal parts of his body. For a moment, his face softened. "You did it," he said quietly. Then he was gone, swallowed by the blast. Eli hit the floor hard. The room split apart. Fire and light filled everything. He crawled toward a shattered bulkhead as the ship broke apart. Through the hole, he saw the sky, black space filled with burning ships. The Helios beam tore through the alien fleet like a blade. One by one, their vessels exploded in bright silence. The city ship started to fall. Its engines failed, pulling it toward the planet below. Eli grabbed a safety line and strapped himself in. The wind howled through the collapsing corridor. His body shook as gravity tore at him. He closed his eyes and thought of Dax, of the soldiers who died, of Earth. The ship hit the upper atmosphere. Fire covered the view. The metal screamed as it came apart. Eli held on until the noise faded and everything went black. When he opened his eyes, he was lying on the ground. The wreck of the city ship burned in the distance. The air was filled with ash. He pushed himself up slowly, coughing. Around him were the remains of battle, broken armor, empty rifles, and smoke rising into a red sky. His radio crackled weakly. A voice came through. "Command to any survivor. The alien fleet is gone. Earth still stands." Eli looked up at the sky. The sun broke through the clouds for the first time in days. He felt nothing but exhaustion. He pressed the radio to his mouth. "This is Lieutenant Grant," he said. "We're not finished yet." He stood and walked toward the wreck, where the light still glowed deep inside the metal. Something was still active. The war might be over, but the fire hadn't died.